Hey there. This is Patrick with Dallas Hockey Hangout, coming to you after a Stars 4-3 win in overtime over the Calgary Flames. Dallas is winding down its season. I believe there's 4 games left. Kind of hard to believe. They're kind of chunking their way through these teams that are sort of out of it or don't have anything to play for. But yeah, obviously a big game coming up for Dallas against Minnesota. I want to try and give that some life. Try and get through the other parts of the Calgary game, and saw a good graphic that I'm going to reference that had Dallas and Minnesota matched up, uh, and they're very comparable teams. So it'd be really interesting to see who is going to come out on top. Obviously, not just this game, but the playoffs now that it's solidified. So we'll just start with how should we be viewing this team, and it's as a look. It's never good to get shut out. And then at least from the like fan side of things, it's always tough to go to a game and not see a goal. And then for that to be against a rival in Colorado, yeah, that was a tough loss at home for the Stars. Like, even though it was a close game and they played DeSmith for some reason, I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if that was a workload thing or what, but it's always tough, especially coming off that like really good Winnipeg game. I thought that was one of their best of the season. So look, it's not ideal that Dallas got behind 3-1 against a crappy, Calgary team. But I was noting to myself, like, hey, look, this is all for preparing for the playoffs, correct? Right. So at the end of the day, I would imagine that I'll talk a lot about Gulson's press conference because I thought what he had to say was really poignant. And I think, honestly, not to be too dramatic, but man, he gives one of the best press conferences, not just of like Stars coaches' histories, but I think currently in the league. He's so insightful and he calls it like he sees it. And if his team's not playing well, he's not going to gas them up. And if they are playing well, or I should say, if they are playing well, he's not going to overly gas them up. And if they're playing like crap, he's not going to, pile on them. I think that attitude has reflected on the team, but his press conference after this game I thought was really important. So I'll touch on those things as they come to me. But that said, I didn't like the first 2 periods for the Stars. I mean, 8 shots in 2 periods is not a recipe for success. I believe it was Robert Tiffin asked if Gulson was concerned about the shots, and Gulson said really something that I thought was really important to hear, which was, in game 83, he wasn't going to be worried about how many shots he had, the team had going for it. Sorry, I'm just like realizing game 83 being the playoffs for the average fan that doesn't remember that there are 82 regular season games. But for the first game of the playoffs, he noted that he would be way more worried about the amount of shots they were giving up versus the amount of shots they were getting. So to me, that honestly, I don't know if it's just that it aligns with my personal view of hockey or what, but I like hearing that from Gulton because he's essentially saying like, hey, look, as long as our defense is on point, we're going to have a chance in every game. The offense is going to come and go in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen that. He saw that firsthand with Edmonton. Like, you've got those, you got the McDavid and Dreisaitl's on your team, and then you see that go through spells in the playoffs. And Gulletson knows, and he's seen the Stars go through spells this year. But at the end of the day, is tough as this, maybe the last little 10-game stretch has been. Well, let's just like run it through. So they lost 2-1 to Minnesota, 3-2 to Vegas, 6-4 to New Jersey, and 2-1 to the Islanders. And then they get a 6-3 win over Pittsburgh. They lost 2-1 to Philly in overtime, and then they lost 6-3 to Boston, then 3-0 to Winnipeg, then 2-0, lost 2-0 to Colorado. So that said, in that little run, at least half of those games, they didn't play up to their defensive standards. The Boston one comes to mind. That was a really bad game. And then even the Pittsburgh game, like, they won 6-3, but it was really 4-3 with Bork getting 2 empty netters. And considering that they didn't have Malkin or Crosby in that game, like, those are the sort of things that sit with me. And I think, it's tough that they lost to Colorado, but against a good Colorado team, limiting them. It was really 1-0 with the last goal being an empty netter, but that's not a bad performance slash result. So against this game against Calgary, Dallas didn't give up a ton defensively. I think that was pretty obvious, but that said, they shouldn't to a rebuilding Calgary team. So how should we view this team, to answer my own question finally? It's a team that needed, yeah, I guess that was what I was trying to say, is that I like seeing the team being put in positions that they're gonna be put in the playoffs. So you down 3-1 headed to the third, or starting the third, get out of the hole and go win the game. You need your power play to get you a goal. You have to kill some late penalties, even though they didn't to start the third. But those are the opportunities that the Stars still have ahead of them, and obviously they have a big one in Minnesota. So yeah, let's just get to the game recap. A couple posts hit from the Stars that kind of skewed, maybe they only had 4 shots or whatever in the first, so probably could have had a goal there, but they get on the board first. That did help them, but it's just interesting. They score first and then pretty much get outplayed most of the second period. But yeah, there was 0-0 in the first, but you know, the first goal, Ritzkovian gets his 13th. Harley's get a chance to walk down the left circle, almost top of the left circle. I have to assume that was a pass, but pass shot, missed the net, goes behind the net, right back to Ritzkovian, who's on the right side of the net, and he just punches it over the Cooley pad. I thought that was just right place, right time type of thing, and I'm going to assume that was a pass from Harley, and in that case, that was really awesome pass. So yeah, I wasn't too pleased with these next 2 goals from the Stars. Klapka had a backhand, and they're driving the net, and Farabee's not picked up by Lyubushkin. Relatively easy one for him. The Sharangovich goal. What can you say? That was off Lyubushkin's like midsection or hips. That was a little lucky. So, it is what it is. I think, and that was the second, but to me, the gut punch was to immediately give up the goal to, start the third period, like 26 seconds in. Now, it did spur Dallas on. I'm pleased to see that. But that said, that's just like such a, hey, you're down 2-1 and haven't really been playing well. And then immediately to start the third, you give up the second, the third goal, second buffer goals. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? It was just good passing. They give up that pass through the diamond that the Stars don't do very often, and it's a good pass or a good shot by, I'm not sure I could pronounce that, but Zane Perrick, a good shot. Not sure what Ottinger could have done there. So, but then Dallas had a fire under its butt after that, and got a chance to hear Mikko post game with the crew or whatever. And I was internally noting, man, I really thought this was Mikko's best game coming back from his injury. And sure enough, I heard on the post game that that's how he was feeling. He felt like he was just kind of fully back. And I think you could see it. He was ahead of the curve is kind of the phrase that comes to mind as far as players checking him and him just kind of having that extra little jump and creativity to his game, a little nastiness to it. That's always there, but it's certainly ramping up, and I think you see his compete level ramping up, and that's tough given that these games don't really mean anything. They do. The home ice for against Minnesota is crucial. I do think that is crucial, but in the grand scheme of things, like I don't think anyone's going to be overly worried if the Stars don't have home ice against Minnesota. They're such a great road team. I think really the only thing that matters to me, and probably the Stars, is that game 7. And that does matter. It's such a clutch game that I certainly would give Minnesota the edge if game 7 was in Minnesota. I expect it to go 7 games, unfortunately, so I'm sure we'll lose a couple of years off my life. Probably see some more gray hairs sprinkled in here today, but moving forward. Yeah, Moose drives the net, gets that cool wraparound on Cooley, and then boom, just a easy layup for Wyatt to just pump it home into an empty net, and sign of shades to come, in overtime. Spoiler, Wyatt wins it. Sick hands. nasty hands, unreal hands, silky smooth hands for Wyatt. Yeah, and then so that was just like a nice response goal. If the Stars hadn't gotten that response goal from Wyatt slash Miko, I'm not sure that they win this game. I think that was so crucial to them getting back into the flow of things and only being down a goal. And then, it doesn't take them very long to tie it. So yeah, just saying great effort play by Duchesne to just kind of outrace his defender and get that backhand in a place to where Robo can at least get a stick on it. He's able to kind of punch it under Cooley's elbow slash blocker. And then just in a blink of an eye almost, Douse is right back in the game. And, all of a sudden they're dominating. I don't feel like I've seen this as much from the Stars this year, but I'm not here to make any grand statements like this because I still think this is the best team, pending everyone getting healthy, of course. But still think this is the best team the Stars have had on paper in a while. But I'm wondering about how quickly Dallas is going to be able to turn on, because in past years they've had that like, oh man, they can just get hot and just get 3 goals in like 2 minutes. I haven't seen that as much from this team this year, but like, I mean, they're still like a top 10 scoring team. So, I think largely the body of work, what Dallas is doing defensively and goal offensively, just makes them obviously one of the toughest out. So, but look, before it gets to OT, Andre has to make several key saves. Just didn't want to forget those saves from him. And, honestly, they gave up 3, but I really thought he played well. Again, it's not a ton of shots, 17 saves on 20 shots. It's not a ton, but I thought he played well. He made the saves he had to, especially in the third when Douse like had some pretty inexplicable breakdowns where they're like getting the defensemen are getting split at the blue line. Saw that a couple times in the third. That was a little concerning, and Under had to make a couple saves. So yeah, and then Douse gets that. I will mention that weird non-call on boy, I can't remember who that was. Was it? I don't think it was Farabee. It'll come to me. I think it was Strome actually. That got hit by Meyer and Myers and immediately started bleeding. They called Myers for a major, which was just crazy. They're reviewing it, and I'm like, what's happening? It was very confusing. And then they reviewed it so fast and didn't call anything. And then sure enough, I believe it was Strome that got Robo in the nose and he starts bleeding. I don't think Robo's watching this, but in the off chance that he is, I apologize for making light of it. But Robo with those little things in his nose was looking so funny. And then for him to get that, I mean, essentially the game winning assist with those things in his nose, like, and then he celebrates and he's just kind of like not super happy about it. I can't imagine. I mean, I've been heading into, I'm sure you can tell, I've been kind of had my nose broken before. It's not a happy feeling. So it was funny to watch him kind of celebrate and not be too happy about it. But yeah, I mean, Mir was able to save that rim around on the kind of chunked up ice after. Oh, I wanted to note that like Douse got the double minor after that, and then they Stars called their timeout, and at some point Calgary called their timeout, which allowed Dallas is about to send their second power play unit back on the ice, but that allowed the first unit to stay out there, and that kind of bit them. So I'm not sure I would have done that if I was Calgary. I think I would have just put other players out. Probably not having a ton of options given their like lack of depth, so to speak, on their talent sides. Anyways, House gets another chance with their top power play unit. Miro keeps it in at the point, gets it to Robo, and Robo just feeds it to where they were trying to go most of those power plays, which is down to Johnny on the ice. And all the defensemen are laying out, and Johnny tries to, bludgeon it in a couple times. And I love that like quick move he had right before he scores, but the previous plays, I should say. But I just love a quick, strong move to the net. And he had several good chances, and Cooley just made some good saves. And the Flames, I thought, did a really good job scrambling to keep it out there. But then on his goal, Robo gets it down to him. And man, like, what can you say? Just like unreal hands and deception and hockey IQ. to who's laying down here, Mata, get him on the ground. And so it's backhand, forehand, backhand. Is that right? Yes, in tight. And he gets Mata to drop. He gets Cooley to all confused, and then just roost it backhand. That's a top 10, scorer in the league play. There are not a ton of guys in the league that can make that good a move look that easy. Obviously, just unreal. So it's 43 for the year for Wyatt. I want to say that was his 25th, could have been 26th on the power play. I'm not sure, but obviously he's just lethal on the power play. 3 stars, Wyatt, Duchesne. I'm sorry, Wyatt, Miko, and Klapka made it. He had 2 assists, so I'll give it to him. But yeah, I'm going to give it to Wyatt and Miko. Probably could have chosen several stars instead of Miko. Robo had a goal and assist, but yeah, I just thought Miko's energy was notable, and I thought he drove most of the play. So good to see him back and dominating. So yeah, I'm running out of time today, so just kind of preview this Minnesota game. I had mentioned previously, I think it was just a Freudian slip, but that the Colorado game in which Dallas lost 2-0 was the biggest game of the season. And I had corrected myself on the previous pod, knowing that it was really the Minnesota game, because that is going to be for home ice, and Dallas didn't really have a chance to catch Colorado. So for the top seed. And yeah, here it is. It's all kind of on the line. I know Dallas holds the tiebreaker. Minnesota's currently 2 points back with, let's see how many they've got. They also have 4 games to play. So if Dallas wins this game, essentially home ice is theirs. But if they lose, then they're tied on points. Dallas would still have the tiebreaker, and then it would come down to those last 3 games, if I had that correct. So needless to say, that if Dallas wins this game, probably clinch home ice for them. Big game, needless to say. I'd be curious to see. I expect Gustafsson again, especially since they played Wallstedt against Seattle, and they're 5-2 win over Seattle. Minnesota has played, now they've won 4 straight, but they have been playing up and down. They beat Detroit 5-4. It's kind of reeling. Ottawa 4-1. I mean, those are playoff teams reaching for the playoffs in the East. They're motivated. Same with Seattle. They're at least, that probably sent them out of it, but still, like, these are really good wins, and they're alternating goalies too. Between that, they don't always need Gustafsson to win. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wallstedt in the playoffs if for some reason the Stars can get to Gustafsson. I'll be the first to say, I think I'm worried about Gustafsson. He can win a series for them. He can stand on his head. Ottinger's got that gene too, but look, I'll just hit you with the numbers because I think this is really crucial. So points percentage, which, whatever. Stars are 4th, Minnesota's 7th. But I just listen to these comparables. Goals for at 3.29 a game. Stars are 9th. Minnesota's 10th. Goals against, Stars are 2nd in the league, 2.6 a game. Minnesota's 4th at 2.83. Stars have the 2nd best power play at almost 29%. Minnesota's 3rd in the league at almost 25. That's crazy though, that there's like almost a 4 percentage points difference between 2nd and 3rd. And then the PK, Dallas is 11th in the league at 81%, and Minnesota's 17th at 78.8%. Largely, the teams are pretty comparable. If it's going to be a power play show, I certainly would give the Stars the edge. I think they have more talent up front. But that said, I mean, look, this game can go either way. It's an 8:00 game, which interesting. I know that being a now national televised deal, but yeah, look, for me, if whiteboard doesn't say it, maybe I should. Here, I'll do it just for posterity's sake. Yeah, let's go ahead and circle Quinn Hughes's number up on the board. We're circling Quinn Hughes's number up on the board because for this game, the series, for me, that's who I'm worried about. Honestly, of course, never want to see anyone get injured, but I think Dallas should try and play physical with him. I mean, really, like, make a point to go out of their way to play physical with him. He's not the biggest guy, so that would be my attitude. But if you've been watching the Wild, you know that it's not just it's not just Quinn this year. They've had such a resurgence from, guys like, what can you say about Tarasenko? He's got 45 points, 23 goals on the year. And I mean, he just keeps doing it. I'm not exactly pleased to see him against the Stars. He's been a star killer. I had mentioned previously that there's some star killers out there, and I'm not talking about the Death Star. I'm talking about like Tarasenko can shoot the puck, and he's always found a way to score against Dallas. So, but that said, I mean, Kaprizov and Boldy, they're 43 and 42 goals. They're Robertson and Johnston pairing. It's very similar. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. But that said, I mean, Hughes has 51 points in 46 games this year. He is the engine that makes that team run now. I think he's fully assimilated. We have Zuccarello. We know what he can do. Eriksson Ek is one of the best lockdown defensive centers in the league. Marcus Johansson brings size and skill. I'm going to bite my tongue on Ryan Hartman. Not the biggest fan of him. I'm going to go ahead and say I expect him to do some dirty stuff in this game. The Foligno brothers, I intentionally pronounce it Foligno because it's an insane spelling. I expect them to be running around, especially the Marcus variety. I have a little bit more respect for Nick. I've always respected his game, but I've watched Marcus pretty closely, and I don't have a ton of respect for his game, and I feel like he's crossed the line against the Stars way too many times. Same with Hartman. I expect some stuff from them. So, but the respect for the Wild is still there. They are an incredible team. This game is going to be so exciting. I hate that it's 8:00, but yeah, it's going to be really exciting. Game of the year. Dallas wins this, probably clinch home ice. Got to be. And really, this is just about the vibes, right? Like both teams know this means something, and this will serve as some sort of a, hey, this is what we need to change or fix before we play them in the playoffs. Yeah, a lot going on in this game. Wouldn't that just be so funny if the Stars played DeSmith and just, I wondered if that playing them against Colorado was not giving them a look at Ottinger. I think it was about workload. I think Gulletson said that, but needless to say, this is going to be a huge game. I'm really excited. I can't wait. I'm not looking forward to some of the tomfoolery that will happen. I also just hope that the Stars just make it out healthy, because it's not too hard to figure that both teams know they're playing each other. So it's going to be a physical game. And I would expect some late hits and some tomfoolery to be happening. So anyway, Stars beat the Flames 4-3 in overtime, come back from 3-1 in the third, clutch win. At Patrick Hayslip on Twitter, Dallas Hockey Hangout at gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns. 4 games left. Starting to get a little sad that the season's almost over, but really getting amped up for the playoffs. Yeah, it's going to be an exciting time. Should be a really exciting game on Thursday. Catch you guys after that one. Have a good day.